Welcome, everyone, to the Songwriters on Process podcast. My name is Benno Papari, and on this podcast, I take a deep dive into the writing process behind some of the world's best songwriters. By way of background, I am a former English professor. I have a PhD in English language and literature, and I'm a writer myself. So this is a conversation about writing between two writers. My goal has always been to treat songwriters the same way that we treat prose writers, just as writers, plain and simple. So that's all we focus on. I don't care about tour stories, favorite bands, how bands get their name, favorite foods, anything like that. This is, again, a deep dive into the songwriting process with some of the world's best songwriters. And with that, let's get into today's episode. And today on the pod, it is Gatlin. Gatlin's latest album is called Eldest Daughter on Dual Tone Records. And a funny story about the taping of this is right before I interviewed Gatlin, I interviewed Courtney Marie Andrews. She has a new album coming out, I think, in January. So I interviewed Andrews right before my Gatlin interview. And Andrews at some point brought out a whole stack of green notebooks that she has to write in. They've got to be green. She brought out a whole stack of green notebooks that she has to write in. Fast forward an hour later to my Gatlin interview, she brings out a stack of, or tells me, did not bring out a stack. She showed me her green notebook. It's got to be green. So there you go. So Gatlin called herself a, quote, go in places type of gal. It took me a year and a half to write this record, but it came in blocks. What I found interesting was how she manages those blocks. She is most effective between 3 and 5 p.m. And that's not a time when people are typically at their peak energy. She loves to walk. It's a lot of ideas when she's walking. She took I think she called it walking during writing, or writing during walking, or walking and writing class in college. They would walk and then they would write. So she learned how to do it, how the benefits of that. My favorite story, though, is that she is an amazing typist. She took a typing class in, I think, in elementary school, and can type in 95 words a minute, and that's insanely fast. So understandably, she likes to type out her lyrics. It's not as fast to do it by handwriting, and 95 words a minute is lightning fast. Last thing, when she writes with a guitar, she likes to sit cross-legged on the floor and kind of rocks gently back and forth, and that kind of helps her focus. So a lot of quirks there, but they're so fascinating, and we all have them. I love to walk. Obviously, a lot of ideas then too, and all those things that are important to us. So anyway, one more thing. She said bathrooms are especially productive for inspiration, and I told her that she's not the first songwriter to tell me that. A lot of songwriters I talk to get great ideas when they're in the bathroom. So, anyway, latest album by Gatlin is called Eldest Daughter on Dual Tone Records. Here is my interview with Gatlin. Is it important for you to write every day, or do you feel like forcing the issue can make things stale?
I feel like I'm a go in phases kind of gal. So I think I will be in phases of writing every day, and it feels more like this is a skill, and like this is I want to like hone my craft, and I want to be there like quote unquote working when inspiration can hit. Um And then there are also phases where I just feel really blocked or really uninspired in that way, and so I'll go months without writing. But no, there are definitely, like, phases of my life where I am writing every day and kind of not forcing it, but just kind of showing up. And, I think songwriting can also be, like, a learned skill, and, it's something like, yeah, I wanna practice at this as well.
Now, when you say phases, are there delineations of those phases, or are those phases strictly governed by, "Oh, I feel like writing"?
No, I think they definitely come with I mean, how I'm feeling in the moment of, "Oh, I'm feeling really inspired. I'm gonna go." But then also kind of where I'm at in my career. So when I'm touring a lot, maybe I'll write here and there, but I'm more focused on the show, or when I'm putting out a project, a lots of times I just feel so burnt out and I'm working on the marketing of it, or, like the promotion of the album. And so I don't really, I'm so, like for this, I'm so in eldest daughter land. I'm not writing, or I haven't been writing a ton, but now I am because I'm, you know, working on more tracks, like deluxe tracks, and yeah, right now I'm in a phase where it's a little more difficult because I'm not necessarily feeling inspired, but, I want to release more tracks, and, the label is like, let's get more songs. And so, those can be kind of like the trickiest and the stickiest times when I'm not feeling like necessarily I want to, and there's maybe more pressure to like get great songs. That is, yeah, I'm kind of in a phase right now where it's where I least enjoy writing, when I feel like I have to and nothing is coming.
What do you do in those situations? Do you have tricks or hacks that you use to, well, I guess to force it?
Yeah. Well, I will intentionally, I think, take breaks. So I'm took a week and just did other things that kind of make me feel creative. Spent a lot of time outside, and uh I think when I then felt inspired last night. And then when I feel inspired, really honor that and will like take time. And even, I was with my partner last night and I was like, "Hey, I'm feeling particularly inspired. Like I'm going to go in the other room for a while." And so I guess just naturally, if I'm feeling trying to push back on that pressure, maybe from my team, or from even a lot, most of it honestly comes from myself. Like, I think lots of times we're our harshest critics. So when I'm pushed back from that and kind of take the stress away from it, then it just naturally will come most of the time. So,
I agree with you, but my fear when I do that is that when I consciously take the pressure off, then I'm aware that I'm taking the pressure off, and it's almost like there's more pressure, if that makes sense.
well, or
Um,
it feels contrived. It feels like you're tricking yourself into it, maybe.
yeah, and then you're in your head because you're aware that you're doing it, and then you lose the whole idea of inspiration if you're thinking about it too much.
Definitely. I mean, yeah, that's why I think it can like, I mean, it took me a year and a half to write this album. Um, and then, but it would come in blocks, right? Like I got 3 songs in a week. I got 2 songs in 2 weeks at the very end. So I think it, a lot of it is just like trying and pushing. And then like sometimes you just don't, at least I don't meet the deadlines, and I'm like, sorry, like it's just not gonna happen. I'm not gonna put out stuff that I don't, feel connected to. Yeah.
Do you think it's important then to try to hone in on those times or places or the environments when you feel inspired? Like you said, you're with your partner and you said, I'm feeling particularly inspired. Do you think about, oh, here's what I was doing, or here's the room I was in, or is that important to be aware of those things to try to recreate them?
I think so. Not maybe necessarily like at that micro of a scale. But for me, I have gotten like 6 songs that I absolutely love in the last 2 years, from 2, 3 weeks in London. So I know, okay, when I get out of like my environment that I'm living in every day, like Los Angeles, like I feel like try to write every day in my bedroom, and I will feel so stuck. So when I get kind of out of that environment and I'm in London and I'm with these like certain collaborators and these certain people, like I just feel really inspired. So I know, you know, with my team, I'm like, we've got a track record here in London of like me, you know, kind of getting out some of my best stuff here. And so we should follow that. We should listen to that. And so in that way, I think I'll definitely try to recreate that. On the micro scale, I think it just is happenstance. I don't really know if there's something particular, but
But when you were in London, I'm curious, were you writing outside? Were there things, a lot of people like to write outside, or there's the external environment kind of stimulates them. Was that important at all?
it wasn't very much outside. I think it was the excitement of being somewhere else. Um, and like I feel like I romanticize a lot of my life and really chase wanting exciting things going on in my life. And so I think I just feel more invigorated and, like, energized when I'm like, "Oh my gosh, I'm in London, England, and I'm on the tube, and I get to go write a song with this producer who's now my friend, and I just feel better." I d and I don't maybe I should feel more pressure of like, "Oh, you know, I've spent this time, this money to, like, be here, I need to get songs," but I just feel less pressure, and I just feel more like, "Oh my gosh, my life is so exciting, and here I am, I get to write." And so maybe it just comes versus I think a lot of times, like, being home, it is rarer for that moment to hit because 'cause I'm just, like, in my room, and I'm in the morning running errands, and then I'm taking care of my cats and then I'm sitting down for a few hours to write, and I think it just feels less exciting, and I feel less inspired. Um, and it can happen, but it's just rarer that it does.
That makes total sense. Just the exotic nature of it. I mean, I'll go out on a limb here, but I don't think you'd have that same feeling in downtown LA,
No.
right?
No. No, yeah, I don't know, I think the excitement is what, I don't know, can really draw things out of me. In the same way of like lots of times, like after touring, after the tour, I will write a lot because I'm just so inspired by all the places I've been and the people that I've met. Yeah, I think it's when the mundane happens, when, I'm in sessions every day that almost I will get one out of every 15 songs I write that I like, but then I have to write 14 songs I don't like, which is not as fun, but sometimes that's just the way that it has to be and it has to go.
So when you're writing at home, is there a certain room, certain time of day, certain chair? We all have those superstitions. How important are those things to you?
Uh, I've written a lot on my guitar, on my like one Martin 0018B that I saved up and I bought when I was 17 years old at Carter Vintage in Nashville. So I've written a lot on that, and I've written a lot on my couch in the living room when I lived alone, and then now I have roommates and so kind of when they're not home. But no, I feel like I have to move around a lot. I'll be in here sitting in this chair at my desk, and I'll do that for 30 minutes, and then I have to go take a walk or, go in the kitchen and hum, and I feel like I have to constantly be moving. I'm not very, like, stagnant, um, which I think there's something too, like, I took a class in college called Writers Who Walk, and we would it was like a PE class mixed with an English class, which is so funny, but we would just walk, and then we would write, and then we would go on a long walk, and then we would Right, and a lot of times I would be writing in my head while I was walking, and I think I kind of then took that, and even when I'm writing with collaborators, it's like every 30, 45 minutes, I'll be like, "Okay, I have to, like, get up and do a little change of scenery."
Before I ask you about that, because there we can talk for days about that. Um, when you're writing on your guitar, and this is going to sound very specific, but I get varying answers to this. Um, if you've got that guitar, are you sitting or are you walking or standing? Because some I a lot of songwriters tell me they've got to be walking around while they have their guitar. There's something about that that makes them just the movement inspires them. So, have you ever thought about that?
No, I haven't ever done that. I I'm sitting I'm typically sitting crisscross applesauce, and, uh but I'll put it down a lot. I I will get it maybe to get a melody, but when I'm working on lyrics, like, I almost, like, can't have an instrument in my hand, um, and I feel like I do this, like, weird rocking thing, especially when I'm writing by myself, so maybe that is, like, the movement, I guess, like, I'm not walking, but I'll be, like, crisscross applesauce, like, rocking my body back and forth, because it helps me, like, focus, and I do that when I meditate, and I do that, when I pray to the universe. So I guess that's just like my way of focusing, especially when it comes to the lyric. And when I'm writing with other people, I will be like, okay, here's the guitar part. And then I'm kind of like take the instrument away from me. It almost like I feel like it's like a block from my body to the space I'm in. Uh, yeah, I don't know if that makes sense.
It does. I've never heard that before. That's interesting. So, when you're writing lyrics, it is often helpful not to have the guitar in front of you.
Yeah, I'll pick it up, kinda remind myself of the melody, and then immediately, like, put it down.
Are you a morning person or night person? Does that matter?
Night. Definitely night. There's something to this. I was born at 11:08 PM, and I'm a night owl, and I feel like a lot of people, if you ask, "When were you born?"
I don't know, but I did read an article within the past month where they said it is, and it related to this. They say that whether you're more, because I never could never pull all nighters in college. I'm much more of a morning person. Much more. I love to get stuff done when no one else is getting stuff done, but I just need to be refreshed.
I'm
But
jealous.
I know it's well, this article I read said that it's purely genetic. So if you're a night person, you're never going to be a morning person, and vice versa. That is something we are programmed to be one or the other, and you just can't change it.
Yeah, there's no way. Every time I'm, like, jet lagged and I'll get up at 7 in the morning for 2 days in a row. I'm like, "Life is awesome." And then I'm like, "I'm gonna keep this up. This is my new routine for the rest of my life." And it doesn't stick for more than 2 days, and then I'm back to sleeping in. So I'm
Are
jealous
you
of
a
Ben.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny because I've never wanted to be like someone who it's not that I need to go to bed early. I just can't be creative that like I can watch movies and that's not the issue. It's just that I'm much more effective in the morning. So I just know that about myself. And so I'll get all that stuff done when I know that I'm fresh.
Yeah. I honestly find myself getting the most done truly around the 3, 4, 5 p.m. range.
Now that's again going against everyone's circadian rhythm because that's when we're like at our least effective because you've been up for, well, I guess if you're getting up late, that's one thing. But if you're getting up at 8 or 9, 6 or 7 hours later, that's when our bodies are just programmed to shut down. So
Yeah.
you get done in that space like 3 to 5, really.
Yeah, I get up around, like, 9 to 10 every morning, and I kind of just putz around. I'll, like, go on walks, I'll chill, I'll look on my phone, breakfast, hang out with my girlfriend, and then, yeah, I feel like I really get into it. I really get into it at, like, 3, 4, 5, which is crazy, and it's very difficult with my team because they're all East Coast, and that's when they're all logging off for the day, and I'm like, "I'm just getting started. Hello." So
I love this conversation because like with working out and exercising, if I don't get it done in the morning, I'll think of a million reasons not to do it later in the afternoon. So I have to do it in the morning. And I feel like if I were that same way where I've got to be writing, I'd be like, oh, you know,
I'll do it tomorrow.
yeah, or I should be doing something else. It's easy to make excuses the did later on the day goes. I'm very impressed with your discipline. When it comes to lyrics, pen and paper or phone/computer?
I find I kind of do all. I sense when I'm by myself writing, the things that stick the most are when I'm just, like, on my laptop, lying, typing, and a lot of times it'll be stream of consciousness, and I'll just go, and then I kind of plug and play a lot of times or, like, put stuff in with the melody and move things around, and I just can see it on the laptop better, and, um, I'm a fast typer, and so my brain will, like, kind of keep up with it. So, yeah, I've always, like, again, romanticized, the writers who, like, journal and write it all down, but I'm just not a like, my brain will m m be 5 words down while I'm writing the first word, so I prefer typing on a laptop.
How many words a minute can you type?
Okay, this is so funny that sometimes my girlfriend and I will do this. This is like our activity, Friday night activity. We will do like word typing tests, and that just goes to show you lesbians. um, I'm at like 95.
Did you learn to type did you take, like, typing or something? Or how did you learn? That's unbelievable.
Thank you so much. um, it is very I really pride myself on it, and it's the one thing my girlfriend can't beat me at. She beats me at everything else. But no, I took a class on in like 4th grade. They had us take a typing test, and I just have really um what is it? Fast twitch muscles
Yeah.
or like anything like all the slapjack and all the card games where you have to like slap, I'm really good at. So I think that mixed with being classically trained on piano starting at 7 years old. It's just that's my forte is I'm a fast typer.
So when you and you mentioned piano. Oh, by the way, I know I was gonna say, the journal thing, before this, I interviewed Courtney Marie Andrews, and right before you, and she showed me it's the exact opposite of you. They have to be green notebooks. So she showed me a stack of green notebooks that she has. They've gotta be green and can be no other color.
Boom. Here's my green notebook. Is
So
it the
wait, what
same
goes in there
one?
then?
Is it the same one?
So hers are more I think they're more, they're they have they're hardback.
Okay.
Um,
Yeah,
but
this is
what do
my
you put in
my
there?
green moleskin. It's my journal. I, like, do journal my feelings and, kind of what's going on in my life. Right now I'm journaling a lot. I'm doing ketamine therapy. So, pages of just kind of that. But lyrics and I'll pull from that for ideas for songs, but lyrics aren't necessarily like, I don't go to my journal to, like, write lyrics.
So interesting. So the journaling, when for your journaling is done by hand, but
Mhm.
everything else is wow. But you don't type your journal entries.
No. No. Yeah, no. I think maybe that feels scary. I'm like, "What if I get hacked?" And then everyone will have my deepest, darkest thoughts. That's more scary than, like, I guess someone stealing my lyrics, but yeah.
So do you journal every day?
I try to. I'm not a very it's so nice of you to say that I am so self-disciplined for working at 3 PM, but I'm not a very self-disciplined person. Um, but when I do get into routines and kind of like reward systems for myself, then I will be journaling every day. But uh yeah, it's a constant. Sometimes.
And do those journal ideas, I think you may have said this, but do they lead to song ideas sometimes?
Sometimes, yeah. Um, there's never really been like a exact way I go about writing songs. Um, one on this album, If She Was a Boy, was from a journal entry, but a journal entry from like 2018 that I, found the day before a session because I had packed an old journal. And I was like, oh, that's interesting. Little 19-year-old me wrote, If She Was a Boy, I'd Be in Love. And so then, that sparked this idea, which is so funny, Ben, because I remember at the time thinking, oh, that could be a fun song lyric, like at 19 years old. But I was so just like deeply in Christianity that I was like, oh, I could never write about that. So it's funny that, all these years later, it did happen. But yeah, it's only happened a handful of times. Or I'll like go to my journal to be like, how am I feeling right now? Or like, how was I feeling about this subject? And maybe to kind of like get me back into the headspace of that.
It reminds me, I just think of all these stories. I interviewed Pete Yorn within the past 6 months, and he showed me he's like in his 50s, and he showed me he sells his notebooks from college. He actually showed me, I mean, these things are raggedy, but they still have song ideas in them. Um, so that my question there is, was it easy when you're looking at that journal entry from what, I guess 6 years ago? 6 years ago? Did you say 20 or
Yeah, 7 years ago. Well, I
yeah,
guess, but I was writing it in 2024. So 6 years ago. 6 years.
okay, so when you're looking at that journal entry that you wrote and all of a sudden was it hard to put yourself back in that space mentally by looking at a journal entry from years ago and then writing a song about it?
Sad to say no. Like, I think that shame around like my sexuality like is very accessible, especially like a lot of the rest of my album is about like my family and my strained relationships with them because of my queerness, and so I'm like still dealing with that today,
Mhm.
and like I have complete self acceptance now, and like love who I am and love my partner, but it is very easy for me to like access that like shame and pain that and confusion that goes along with that. And so yeah, they were just right there. And yeah, I wonder how long that will take to like fully dissipate or if it ever will. Um but no, but I think it was important for me to, like, pull those emotions back up and, like, write about it with 2 other queer women, which that's something I love about songwriting is collaboration within it, taking a lot of my ideas and my story and things I've, like, started to work on or have halfway done or 75% done, and then, like, taking them to people and getting their ideas and their process and their, like, voice in them as well. Because I think it would've been a lot harder for me to, like, write that song if it wasn't for, like, these 2 other, like, queer women in the room, you know?
So do you typically need distance to write about something, or can you write about something in the immediacy?
I typically write in the immediacy. Um, Another song on my album called Soho House Ballet, and in the second verse, I talk about, like, a fight I got in with my dad, and I wrote that song a week after that. So it was, like, very fresh, and I feel like you can feel that in the song, like, just kind of the I don't know, there is, like, less of it feels less of distance, like, it feels very close to those emotions, at least for me, and maybe it's just because I know that, but, yeah, that was literally me actively crying and, like, grieving and, like, having a lot of pain while I was writing this with this guy that I met that day. Like, it was my first time writing with, Louis from The Gifted that day, and that just also goes to show maybe songwriters are just so open and safe and, you know, we do that sometimes, like, meet someone and then just immediately, like, "Hello, here are all of my emotions and feelings and pain."
Are you less likely to mess with those songs that came from such an intense emotional space? By mess with, I mean like revising, or do you feel like, okay, there's a reason I'm not going to touch this? There's a reason why it
Oh,
happened
yeah,
quickly.
I
Yeah.
didn't I didn't touch it, and I used the, like, day of, because lots of times, you know, I'll do, like, a demo of a song, and then, you go back and you recut the vocal or you recut the guitar or the piano, and I didn't touch the vocals. I was just on, like, an SM7, and, um, yeah, I didn't like, in the room, there was, like, background noise. I think the, like, AC was on, but I didn't touch the vocals and we didn't touch the piano, and, yeah, it didn't change a lyric or anything.
I want to get back to the walking because I find this fascinating, and I'm with you 100%. There's loads of research behind why walking is important. I mean, from a creative point of view, that
Mm,
um, I mean, there's a lot, and there's stories of writers who get ideas while they're on walks, and then there's the whole idea of when our brains are engaged in unconscious activities, whether it's driving or walking, or I've heard things like this is the one quote I always give songwriters. Agatha Christie said the best time to write a book is when you're doing the dishes. So and the songwriters who tell me they get ideas while they are gardening, mowing the lawn, folding laundry, cleaning, walking, anything where your brain doesn't have to think about what you're doing.
mhm.
That's when the eureka moments happen. So is walking a do you use walking for that reason, or as a way to kind of just take a break? And I just love to explore that because I'm with you 100% on that idea.
I think it's both. I think it's also, like, I'll feel I'm a very anxious person, um, and I think also when things aren't coming easily, typically lyrics are what I, like, really am very, like, anal about and then can get very frustrated when they're not coming and not, like, flowing out of me. And I'm like, "Oh, I'm never gonna write anything good again, and I suck, and blah, 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 blah," and the inner critic comes in, and I'll start to get anxious and, like, very frustrated, and I'm just kind of like, "Okay, I need to, like, move my body, I need to, like, get out of this space, I need to get out of this headspace and maybe just, like, walk and mumble and see what comes." I feel like also songwriters will joke about, getting up and going to the bathroom and being like, "Okay, like, I'm gonna finish the song in the bathroom, gonna, write the rest of the thing."
I've heard a lot of songwriters tell me that happens.
But yeah, I mean, yeah. It's a break from the space, and it's like, I don't know why it happens, but I feel like whenever I'm writing with other people, we definitely joke about it, which is really fun.
Like a group writing session in the bathroom.
Mhm. Let's all just convene at
I
the
mean, you
loo.
can make it happen. You drink a lot of water at the same time, so you all have to go at the
Oh,
same time. I mean,
yeah. You'd
it
have
could
to be
happen.
really close with everyone.
That's true. But the walking again, I to me, that is my surefire way to break through, because I don't know that I get ideas. It just gets me thinking. And you look outside, and then there's a question of, are you more prolific in urban spaces because the chaos, or natural spaces?
Mm.
Where do people get inspired? Um, but driving is another thing too.
Oh, yeah.
Um,
Shower for me. I've had, like, 2 or 3 from dreams too, but
there was an article in the Washington Post last year about why we get our best ideas in the shower. And And that's exactly why. It's when your brains are engaged in unconscious activities, that's when the ideas happen.
Yeah. Yeah. That is so interesting. I wonder, like, what the, like, exact science behind that is, like, why that happens. Like, why?
Yeah, it's but yeah, and I don't think we should know. I mean, my fear is that the second you start to think about it, then it no like if
And
I
it
take a
goes away.
shower, yeah, if I take a shower and say, "Okay, I'm gonna get in the shower to have some ideas," it'll never happen.
Well, I mean, that's the same thing I guess we were talking about earlier of like, okay, I'm stressed. There's pressure. Let me go do a bunch of things to de-stress me so that things can come. Or I've talked about it in therapy. I'm like, man, I know when I connect with myself and I'm like meditating a lot and I'm journaling, like good things come my way in my personal life and my career and everything. So sometimes I'll be like, oh, I need to go connect with myself so that something good will happen in my career. And then it's just like, wait, that's not the way that it's actually supposed to work at all. And it yeah, is counterintuitive actually. So how do do those things that are good for you that you know are good for you, but not with that ulterior kind of motive being the leading thing.
Um, all right, let's end with this. I do find that songwriters are voracious readers for the most part. So let's talk. How much do you get to read? Does that inspire you as a songwriter?
Mm. Again, I'm a phase girl because, I don't know. I'll get in phases of like reading all the time and then I will not read for 6 months. Right now I'm reading, I know everyone and their mom has read it, but I just hadn't gotten around to it. Just Kids, Patti Smith's book. And it's just as good, isn't it? Just good. And I think yeah, right now that she's inspiring me a lot. She's like always been a songwriter I've like returned to and um I think like her lack of ego has been really inspiring me right now because that's kind of been maybe the thing I've really been learning the last year is like to truly let go of all ego, especially like in this career path that I've chosen that's full of ego. Um, and then I think, oh, I have always read a lot of like religious and spiritual books. I've always been very searching and wanting because I just was so heavily in Christianity my entire life and so it's been like a lot of Ram Dass as well in and out the last 2 years and I think that that has informed my writing a lot as well and just informed my headspace because how can it not um but yeah I'm in a reading phase right now but if you ask me in a month I'll be like well I haven't read in a month so
Now you have some amazing visual art behind you. So do you get inspired by visual art?
I I get I do. I think I'm very inspired by like interior design and how things fit and I really enjoy like antiquing and thrifting and going to estate sales and like that's something I do by myself and like maybe just like sifting through estate sales specifically, like sifting through like houses in people's lives and seeing like knickknacks. Like I have so many little knickknacks that are just like weird. I just bought the other day like a thimble set of like all the presidents like in America, but I think it like stopped at like the 41st president, but I have like 41 thimbles now of like the US presidents and I feel like very inspired and get very excited about things like that. So I don't know. I wish I was more of like an arty girl in that way of like and I do, but I think museums have always been hard for me. I'm like a pretty fast pace. Like I want to have I think, like, the thrill of finding something cool at an estate sale, like, finding something strange is a lot more exciting to me than maybe, like, the slow pace of, like, a museum. But maybe that will change. I want that for me. I want it for me so badly.
But all I'm thinking about is, and because no one's ever said estate sales. I've never heard that in an interview I've done before, but it dawned on me that you could write incredible stories going to those because you go to an estate sale and you see someone's life
Oh, yeah.
in front of you and you wonder, like, what was the story behind that thimble set? Or I could just imagine you like how you could in an estate sale,
Mm.
it would be creative overflow, isn't it
Oh,
sometimes?
well, and I'm in Los Angeles going to estate sales, so that is crazy too. Sometimes I do when I've been on tour, I've gone to a few, and I sometimes like the break because in Los Angeles, it's always like a character, you know? I, uh, went to, like, Miss Universe from the '60s, like, she was, like, a bachelorette her entire life, and her house was wild, and went to one, like, someone who did, like, all the graphics for, like, Star Wars and Star Trek and, like, it's just everyone is a character here and has, like, this amazing, spectacular, huge life, and it is interesting to, like, peel behind that curtain and see, like, what was this person's life like? Um, but, yeah, I almost, like, sometimes prefer, like, a normal person, like, when I go home to Florida and go to estate sales there or Nashville, because yeah, the stories here, the people here are just it's wild.
And that's it for the latest episode of Songwriters on Process. You can find all of the old episodes on all major streaming platforms and probably some minor ones as well. You can also find them on the Songwriters on Process website. I started the site back in 2011, so that means there are hundreds upon hundreds of interviews with some of the world's best songwriters. So take a deep dive into some of those episodes. They are all great. Of course, I'm biased. Also, shameless plug. My book, Desolation, a Heavy Metal Memoir by Mark Morton with Benno Papari, that is me, is out now on Hachette Books and in all major bookstores. Mark is a good friend of mine. He is the guitarist in the metal band Lamb of God. And so we collaborated on his memoir. I'm biased, but that's a damn good book. Again, it is called Desolation, a Heavy Metal Memoir. And lastly, if you want to get in touch, go to the Songwriters on Process website. You can fill out a handy contact form and it'll get to me that way. You can also email me at ben@songwritersonprocess.com. I'm all ears. Send me your comments, your suggestions, your complaints, people you want me to interview. I get great suggestions all the time. I can't respond to all of the emails because I get a lot of them, but I do read all of them. And let me know your thoughts. If you have ideas for people you want me to interview, there's your chance. And with that, I am out. See you next time.